Hey, real estate agents, welcome to the Weekly Closer. I'm your host, Jeff Underwood, along with my co-host, Joey Sampaga. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, Jeff. I'm excited about this one.
Absolutely. So on today's show, we're going to actually dive into the commercial side of the business, which I don't think we've done that much over the last few years. So I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a couple of great guests with us in the house today, Carla Magee and Chelsea Barraco with MHG Commercial. How are you doing, ladies?
Good. Hi.
Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's the commercial division of My Home Group, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Awesome. And you guys got invited by Alex Roberts, I believe, and Debbie Marquez?
Yes.
Security?
Our favorite people.
Yeah, they're great people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're amazing. They're definitely amazing. So why don't we start with each one of you sharing how long you've been in real estate and what got you into the business?
Okay. So I actually have a corporate background. I grew up in Seattle. I was a good Seattle girl. I went to the University of Washington. I worked for Boeing. I worked for Microsoft. All the things a Seattleite should do. And decided that that wasn't for me. I'm not really good at cubicle life. So I took our hobby and turned it into real estate. When we moved down here in 2014, I made that a permanent career in commercial so that I could utilize my finance background and help out our investors.
Awesome.
I've been in the real estate industry for just over 6 years. I'm from upstate New York. I lived everywhere in New York, including Manhattan for a little while. I work primarily in the service industry. So I did every part of the bar industry, promotional, waitressing, bartending, managed a nightclub, thought I wanted to own a restaurant and then realized that I would be married to it for the rest of my life and never have any time off. And actually, when I was working at the club, my neighbor was a real estate agent and just noticed like how much drive and passion I had for it and for customer service and was like, you really should be a real estate agent. So that's what I've been doing since. Moved out here and then made the pivot into commercial.
Got it. So you Giants, Jets, or Bills?
Giants.
Okay.
You know, I mean, Giants and Bills both had equally sad games this past weekend.
They sure did.
At least the Jets stayed home.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So why don't we get into, I guess let's first start with, can you ladies give us an idea of what's the latest with commercial right now? What are we seeing for the start of 2023 when it comes to commercial real estate there in the Phoenix area?
Well, commercial real estate, everybody kind of thinks as real estate as the real estate market, right? And there are distinct asset types, distinct classes. And so each one has its own flair right now, right? Residential is kind of feeling the crunch of the end of last year and interest rates, and we are too. But honestly, as long as the dollars make sense, we still have buyers for everything. So there are some softening in some asset classes, like multifamily, which was going kind of insane. For those that don't know what multifamily is, it's literally apartment buildings. That got pretty crazy for a while. People were buying it at non-performing, that's kind of nuts. A lender won't typically lend on something that won't make you any money, but people were buying it anyway. Industrial in Arizona is still kind of going crazy. Like you see all those tilt-up buildings, out on like the 202, that's all industrial. Our poor industrial clients can't even find properties right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, office is softening a little bit for obvious reasons after COVID, but not as much as people would like to think. When they come to us kind of looking for the next deal, it's not there. And retail, we still have below average vacancy. So, it keeps going deeper because then it goes into class like A, B, and C and everything else. But for the most part, generalizing, that's what it looks like. Wouldn't you say, Chelsea?
Yeah, the great thing about commercial is there's so many different facets to it. If one class like multifamily starts to soften, you can kind of pivot more into industrial, which the demand for that, like Carla said, is crazy right now. And a lot of that has to do with all that slowdown that we saw in the supply chain. It makes sense to bring manufacturing here to Arizona so that we aren't held up on all of our development. The great part about Arizona is we're a yes state. You want to build something, we have tons of dirt and people are willing to do it. There's not a lot of red tape. I'm from New York. It's the complete opposite out there.
Right? Like we're seeing in the West Valley, this like logistical hub happening in like Buckeye, Goodyear, kind of along the corridor there. And part of that is because upon business analysis, they're finding out that even though the boat stops in LA, it's still cheaper to haul it directly here and house it to then be distributed to the rest of the country than to do it in California, Los Angeles area. So it's pretty crazy. And so because of that, we're still in like proximity to everybody. So they're bringing it here.
Yeah. I was going to ask that. So what parts of the valley are seeing industrial versus the multifamily versus the retail? What are you seeing mostly?
The West Valley is blowing up in every facet, honestly. And the South Valley too.
Yeah.
For
Southeast.
those, those manufacturing distribution type of uses.
Because here's what happens. You build jobs and they will come, right? So you build distribution centers and say Buckeye, where there's no houses. Now you need houses. Now those houses demand restaurants. Those houses demand Target. They demand Costco. They demand retail.
Starbucks.
Yep. They need denser housing. So now that's demanding multifamily. So once you bring the jobs and the income there, the rest just kind of falls into place.
Makes sense.
Got it. Yeah, I thought I saw something the other day about not necessarily Phoenix, but I mean on a national scale for multifamily. Like they have more like that are being built or going to be completed this year than they've seen in decades, I guess.
I believe that. We took a pause.
Yeah.
I feel like after the last like housing crash, and that's what created the supply issue with housing, right? We took such a pause that by the time people needed houses again, it was like, oh, whoops, we haven't, hold on, we need to actually swing a hammer and get those started. Same thing with multifamily, especially because not only did you have that crunch in the demand for single family housing, as people moved here by like the thousands, they needed somewhere to go. I mean, we're living in a time where there could be 4 generations alive, right? The grandchild, the parent, their grandparents, and then their great grandparents. That's 4 houses. Mm-hmm. And then you multiply that if they have a summer home or vacation home. Now you could be talking about 8 or 10 houses just in one small family unit. So that's what's creating this crunch. And then people go into density and up vertically.
Got it. So I'm curious, are you seeing mostly new building as far as the commercial side is going, or do you see a lot of older structures that are being taken over and revamped?
Honestly, both. It depends on what part of the valley you're looking at. Like malls right now are just a great site for mixed use. You can put apartments and condos and office and retail in a mall, and now it's got a whole new life. But there are like a lot of those new sites going in too. Like the one on the corner of like McDowell and I would say 64th, 68th there, right by Papago Park. Like that just sprung up in the last year. Yeah.
I mean, well, and talking about the malls, right? Look at like Paradise Valley Mall. I mean, who would have thought with a demographic like that, where there's ample income and everything, that they would literally be tearing down a structure because it makes more financial sense to tear that down and go vertical than it does to just try and like bring in more Nordstrom, So they're just kind of revamping that kind of stuff and building new.
So what are they putting there?
Yeah, mixed use.
Mixed use.
Okay.
Yep. I think they're modeling it after Kierland.
Okay.
Yeah. And so mixed use in the commercial world is like the mullet of commercial real estate. A little party on the bottom or business on the bottom and party up top.
Got it. So what's your favorite ones to work with? Do you have a favorite commercial type of commercial real estate?
I do actually. My favorite is multifamily, but it's been a hard couple years for multifamily just because there's been such a compression of cap rates and everything else that I've actually had to pivot into industrial, which with my manufacturing background and everything with Boeing, it was just kind of a natural fit. I know what they're looking for. I know what they need in terms of distribution. And so it was an easy pivot and I do like it, but I do love selling me some apartments.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So I'm assuming that you guys, you started in residential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What made you say, okay, I'm going to jump into commercial, and how hard is that?
It takes some time to make some money in commercial. I mean, if that's what people are after, we tell everybody a good couple years before you really start seeing like maybe the same income you were seeing in residential, or if you're a newer agent coming in. We have people that we train, we mentor, and they come from residential and it doesn't move fast enough for them. They're not making it fast enough. Our deals fall apart a lot easier. So I know for me personally, and I'll let Chelsea answer, the reason why I pivoted in commercial was just really just my background. Yes, I love sales. Yes, I like taking care of people and helping them find things. I don't have the patience for residential. I don't want to talk about granite countertops and floor plans. I want to talk about dollars. I want to talk about how I can add value to them, how they can bring more value to this building. Why does this demographic make sense? Those are the kinds of conversations I like having.
Makes sense.
What about you, Chelsea?
Part of it had to do with coming out here at the time that I did. There's so much residential saturation here. And the other thing that I like about it is it's a more sophisticated group of agents and clients. So I'm a nerd. I love data. When you study commercial, and like I went to the commercial forum yesterday, everything trickles down to the residential market. So when you understand the commercial market, you can understand what's happening to the residential market and what the correlations are. So you're just more informed in general. And I like being the source of information for people because real estate is the kind of thing that everyone has something to say about, whether they have any kind of actual knowledge or not. And to be someone who's like, well, actually, the reason that that's changing is because of X, Y, and Z. And we're seeing that in this side. So it's affecting this side.
So it's all about data.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah,
Because if you can show an investor that something makes sense in terms of growth or population or whatever they're looking for, then it's a sale, period. You know, they were there to buy. It's just up to you to put it in front of them.
So with multifamily,
Mhm.
it's 5 units or more that makes it
Commercial.
commercial. Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super interesting, right? Like a little 4-unit is residential.
Yeah.
And really what that boils down to is financing. You can do a residential loan, just like your regular home or condo or whatever, on a 4-unit property. There's a strategy called house hacking that a lot of people do that
They live in one property and
Yep.
rent out to, yep.
Yep, I talk about it a lot on my Instagram. It's just one of those things that people reach out to me about and I help them with. And because there's nuances to it. Yes, it's technically a residential property, but there's a lot you need to know going into it and going into the purchase of it because there's still tenants in place.
Right.
Those are people's homes. You have to follow tenant laws. You have to know how to talk to the lender. So it's more than just purchasing the property itself.
Mhm.
Yeah. Carla and I both worked in multifamily and I don't miss doing it, quite honestly.
Really?
Well, there's so many parties involved too.
Yeah.
And I think that's where residential agents think that's a good spot to start. And, with a property manager and multiple tenants and the tenants are not business people.
Mhm.
These are people that are annoyed that you're there
Mhm.
and more often than not are going to do whatever they can to sabotage your sale because they're afraid that the rent's going to go up or they aren't going to like the new ownership. There's just a lot to it. And then when you added COVID on top of that, then you're trying to, get an inspection in 5 units. And the odds at that time were somebody in one of those units had COVID. So those were really challenging sales. And most of our buyers were from out of state. That was a very difficult time.
Mhm.
And I'm smiling because I had a great time during COVID.
Oh, they did?
Oh, yeah.
So getting loans for that is different, right? So they do it based off of the value of the property or the tenants or
The rent rolls, how the
yes.
property's performing,
Yep.
expenses. Yeah.
And if there's value add to that, then they can come back 6 months or a year from now and then do an appraisal and possibly pull cash out and then. go to the
Oh, have
next
you
or
been
is that-
following the Burr method? Oh.
Yeah, it's one of them.
But yes, in theory,
Uh-huh.
that is how it works. There's tons of nuances and each market is different. I found that a lot of people that follow, like, say, Bigger Pockets or the Burr method, they're talking about Ohio, North Carolina, Kansas, Missouri. The Phoenix market is
not like
not like that. We are not a cash flow market.
Mm.
We are an appreciation market. So somewhere like Ohio, for example, if your building's worth 500,000 because that's how your cap rate sits,
Mhm.
it's always going to sit that way. You don't see the increases in rent, increases in appreciation. So in a market like that, you have to really buy something at bottom dollar.
Mhm.
Whereas here, you could buy it at almost market value, hang on to it for a couple of years, and you'll still have an asset that was worth more than what you paid for it.
Okay. You guys also deal with mobile home parks?
Oh, yeah,
You?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chelsea's like, no.
That's a stigma I don't want attached
Really?
to me.
Storage units.
Well, I mean,
Oh, I like
yeah,
those too.
yeah, storage units, yes. Those are in high demand. Actually, the last time we looked, there were 3 listings in the whole state
Yeah.
for self-storage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great.
it's really hard to come by. And I mean, the vacancy on those is nil
Right. In fact, we have developers that are looking for land to
for
buy
sites
more.
for them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. No, Chelsea's favorite asset class is ranches,
Mhm.
horses.
Ah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She's really good at that.
Okay. Well, that's
Being from New York, right?
Yeah. Well, actually,
City Slicker.
my mom lives at the back entrance of the Saratoga racetrack, which is over 100 years old. It's like a mecca for horse racing fans. I grew
There
up
you go.
riding, and I work as a equine therapist, not a certified equine therapist. I'm working on that certification. So I am on 2 ranch properties every single week.
Would you say drink wine therapist? Oh, Jesus.
That's what I heard.
I'm good at that too.
When's the end of January?
So I'm curious, when you go on vacation, what kind of books do you read? I'm only saying that because you both have said very analytical, you're very numbers driven, all that. And my wife makes fun of me because she'll take, a few novels with her, right? And then here I'm bringing economics books.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. I read books on taxes, write economics books. I think the most crazy I get is my daughter actually reads very avidly. And if she wants to watch a movie or wants to connect with me on something right now, it's Bird Box. She'll give me the book that she's read and be like, I want you to read this so we can watch the movie together. And being the good mother I am, I oblige. And so that's pretty much the only person that can get me out of my, my business rut.
I'm always reading 3 or 4 books at the same time. But if I'm on vacation, I've always got some kind of self-help, self-development business book. Right now I'm reading I think it's called Surrounded by Idiots. And it's about the disc. Well, it's about how, people that aren't in the same disc profile, are well, why can't I talk to this person? They must be an idiot. And it's actually understanding
How they
different communication
communicate.
styles. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So I read, avidly on the plane. And then if I'm chilling, I'll read some fiction. But I've always got something that's toward development on the shelf too.
Got it. So why don't we get into the referral program that you guys have as well? Because I know you wanted to make sure agents that are watching, listening, know that is an option, right? So why don't we get into that?
Yeah. Most of my business is built entirely on referrals, and not just other agents, lenders, other vendors in the industry, attorneys. I'm constantly out networking, letting people know who we are and what we do. And that we will work with the little guy. If you got somebody who needs 1,000 square foot office for lease, we're happy to do that.
Okay.
That's not too small for us because we're looking to nurture relationships long term. So if that guy's business blows up and in 3 years he needs to buy a space, we took care of him and he's going to come back to us.
Right. And a lot of the bigger brokerages, that you see their signs everywhere, they're huge. Imagine trying to call someone who has a listing for 15,000 square foot office for a 1,000 piece of that. They typically don't return your call. And if you're a residential agent and you're trying to help your client, it can be intimidating. We use different language than they do, and they can tell as soon as you call the first time, if they answered their phone, they can tell that you don't play in the same sandbox. And it's just not fair. Right. So we try and bridge that gap between the big commercial brokerages and the residential agents, because when they move from, say, California, and now their client wants to bring their restaurant, their office, whatever business they have here, who do they call? Well, they want to call someone that they can trust, that they know won't patronize them, and that will also give them a referral and thank them for the sale.
Yeah. And there's nowhere to just download the forms to do a commercial transaction. You're usually starting with a conversation and then a letter. And we always invite residential agents to come to our weekly team meeting and see what we talk about and see what we're about. And 9 times out of 10, they're like, holy crap, I want nothing to do with this. Just give me your email. I'll send it to you. And it's great. Like, send it to us. You can be as involved as you want. We've got an awesome CRM that tracks everything. You can view what we're up to. You can see the updates that we're making. You'll probably be bored because it's going to take like 6 months to a year, usually, if it's a purchase anyway.
Yeah.
But hey, the best part is you get paid.
Right. What's a typical referral fee for that?
So for us, and it's not typical, we give a 20% referral for a sale and a 10% referral for a lease.
Okay.
Leases are like, imagine, like for the residential agents that are listening, a lease involves, call it the same amount of work renting a house does as purchasing a house. So because there's a lot more runaround in it and it pays less, than obviously the referrals less.
Yeah. And something I wanted to note about leasing, I think people think that leasing a space is a lot like leasing an apartment, and it could not be any more different. It's not, you put down a deposit and you get in there. You're getting vetted on your financials. And if you're a new business and you don't have any financials, you have to get funding. I think a lot of people are like, well, I have 30 grand in this account, but you have a business that has no proof of viability, and a landlord doesn't want to evict you in 3 months after they did all the work to get you in there. So SBA lending is really common for those people. And that's not something you should be scared of or shy away from. Like, that is the first step of getting your business to become a viable business.
Yeah, we don't want to be the dream killers of your business idea. We want to help. So it's like, we need people to trust us to have those conversations about SBA lending, what kind of cash you need to divulge to us, because you're going to have to divulge it to the landlord. Yes, they're going to ask us. Yes, they're going to ask you. They want to see P&Ls. They want to see, all kinds of stuff from your business to make sure that, they don't have to evict you in a couple months.
Yeah. And it's not that we're trying to be gatekeepers or anything.
Right.
I mean, most of the spaces that we're showing aren't fascinating to look at. It's a shell in a retail plaza. I'll take a video and send it to you, but doing the steps in order. It's the same as shopping without a prequal. Like, there are steps that have to happen in such an order to make this happen.
Makes sense. Do you guys work with churches too? Like,
I've sold some churches
and leasing churches as well.
Yeah, we have quite a few church clients right now.
I actually have a school I'm walking through later this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, we may be contacting you.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that.
So what is the process then? Let's say a residential agent, maybe they're just having a conversation with a client that they didn't realize is a business owner that's been in business for quite some time, that really wants to move into a space. Kind of walk me through, what's the process for that agent?
Well, they could either go on Chelsea and I's Instagram and literally DM us or call us, or they can go to mhgcommercial.com. There's a referral partner link on there, and it asks you a handful of kind of basic questions, your name, your number, so that we can attach you to the client and their number. And what do you think they're looking for? Because by the time we call them and find out like what they're looking for, it's usually a little different because they didn't quite know what questions to ask. But that helps us attach that agent to that client. And then it also helps us kind of get a guideline or a baseline of what they're looking for, whether that's medical or office or ranch or.
Yeah. And they can always do a warm text, with us and the client on the same text if, they feel more comfortable making sure that they're the one handing it off that way. That happens a lot too.
And then you said you guys have a CRM that they can actually log into as a portal and see kind of what the process is.
Yep. I can pretty much promise you they'll be bored, but
it's true.
But if they really want to know what's going on, that's a really easy way for them to know that their lead is being cared for and followed up with. We just like to kind of set the expectation that these things move much slower than anything on the residential side. So like
from our point of view, the CRM is like line after line after line after line, right? From their point of view, we tell our assistant, our admin, hey, will you let, so-and-so see that client's line item? So they can only see that line. They can't see proprietary information for any other agents or anything like that. But they can see when Chelsea and I are updating each other, who called whom and who, did a tour today or anything like that. They can see that. Or if any documents were uploaded, they can see those as well.
Got it. Well, sounds like it's pretty smooth process then.
Yeah, our
we
CRM
try.
is fantastic.
It really is.
And it enables us to stay in our strength zone.
Well, we've had to, so in order to attach the residential agent to that client, I mean, think about how long some of these take. That's a lot of information to try and hold in your back pocket or in your brain until that comes to a complete sale. I think our oldest referral was 6 years, and she like changed brokerages twice, and we had to go find her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I guess let the agents know then. So what's the IG for each one of you? Instagram.
Mine is Tiny Desert Agent.
Mine is Investment Real Estate AZ.
Tiny Desert Agent.
Yep.
And what was the other one?
Investment Real Estate AZ.
All right. There we go. And you said they could also call. I don't know if you want to give a phone number on this or not, but you can.
I'm 518-888-4360.
And I'm 480-359-7796.
All right, cool.
And then our emails are just our first names at MHG Commercial. So that's an easy way to find us too.
Yeah, that's easy. All right. Well, good. So it sounds like you mentioned too that you do meetings
Yes.
that agents could come to.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday at 9:30 in Chandler, we have our team meeting that anyone's invited to either just come judge us or or like come hear what we're talking about. We will do our best to hold all the inappropriate comments back while you're there and be professional. But really, it's an opportunity to see like what we're doing. We run through our CRM, we run through kind of wants and needs that everybody has, and then also just get to know us as a person, as people, because you always want to do business with someone that you like and trust.
Yeah, and that's just with a commercial team.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. That's cool. What other things should agents know about commercial, or what other things do you want to make sure to share about the local commercial market there?
So a thing that I think is important is anything that you're finding publicly as far as a commercial listing probably is incorrect data, doesn't exist. Like, for instance, a lot of people will send us stuff that they find on LoopNet.
Yes.
I like to say that LoopNet is the Zillow of commercial of commercial real estate. So you might, if you find a smoking deal on LoopNet, it's probably because it's from the Bush administration, like because those listings hang out there forever. So yeah, the pricing is great, but it doesn't exist.
Right. Cruxy's even worse. What happens is, so in residential real estate, they have very, very stringent rules they have to follow through ARMList, through the MLS about when they take the listing off the market, how they report things when it goes under all these things, right? We don't have rules. We're kind of like the Wild West of real estate in commercial. And therefore, listings stay on even after they're expired, sales stay on even after they have passed, and it's really just a lead generator. So you're probably not going to get your phone call answered. You're probably not going to get accurate information because we have access to, like, say, CoStar and things where we have accurate information of what's actually available.
Yeah. And so we also will check the MLS because we all are realtors, because sometimes commercial property gets listed there, but not on CoStar. When you list property on just the MLS and not CoStar, you are waving a flag to commercial brokers that you probably don't know what you're doing. You aren't giving exposure to that listing. And now we know you don't know what you're doing, and we're probably going to get a deal.
Yeah. You dropped blood into the shark tank is basically like what happened, right?
It seems a lot more cutthroat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the other side of commercial is some property will never be listed anywhere. There are all different brokerages that have their niches and will have off-market listings. So a lot of our business is strictly relationships. So if you have a specific user, like restaurant, for example, usually people in the hospitality industry will not want their property listed publicly because they don't want to alarm their staff. They don't want people thinking like, oh, this restaurant's going to suck now because it's changing hands. So, then that would be something that's just broker to broker. Hey, I've got something. I know you work with a lot of people in this asset class. Do you have anybody looking in this region?
We also have the cities come directly to us and say, hey, we want fine Italian right here on this street. What do you guys have? Yeah.
Got it. All right. Are you seeing any, there's a lot of talk out out there right now about potential recession, right? And all that. Are you seeing any hesitation on the commercial side to develop things right now, or?
So, things definitely changed for us. October, we saw things start to slow down dramatically. Like things really took a turn in our market too. Yesterday, I went to the commercial forum and pretty much everything that was presented there was incredibly positive. That the dip has pretty much already happened on our end, and that we need to get over this period of skepticism, and then things will start ramping back up again. We also had the guy who secured the bid for the Super Bowl to be here.
Nice.
And that alone is a massive win for Arizona and specifically the commercial market. So just having the Super Bowl here is going to bring $500 million in revenue. And that's just like restaurants and hospitality, hotels.
Yeah.
The last time we had the Super Bowl, 5 Fortune 500 companies decided to move their operations to the state.
Wow.
And that was 10 years ago?
Mhm.
So think about what Arizona is now from where it was 10 years ago. Think about how much more impressive this place is. We're also going to be on the end of the Phoenix Open.
Right.
All of these like Fortune 500 companies, millionaires in town, entertaining celebrities, like it's going to put Arizona on the map in a new way. It's an amazing commercial for Arizona to have the Super Bowl here this year. And that can only do great things for us on the commercial side. And then that'll trickle down to the residential side.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious with I'm seeing on some of the headlines of
Mhm.
water shortages and all this. Is that going to affect the commercial space at all?
So
Or has it been?
commercial is similar to residential in the sense that you have to prove more than adequate water supply in order to develop your property.
Mhm.
The thing is in commercial, data centers aside, they typically take a lot less water
Sure.
than even an average household for an entire like don't quote my square footage, but say an entire 100,000 square foot warehouse that's just storing widgets can take less water than our house of 4. So I don't think from a commercial standpoint that's a concern, but then what becomes the concern is, can people not build houses here because of water issues?
Mhm.
I'm not on the water committee, so I don't have, inside knowledge, but it's like, it's out there. It's not a secret. I'm going to assume that our local government that's a priority for them, because otherwise it would shut our state down.
Right.
Absolutely.
And another interesting statistic about water use is that the water use in Arizona right
Mhm.
now is actually the same as it was in 1957, because we used to be an agriculture state.
Yeah.
So when we had all this cotton and citrus here, we were making farmland in the desert, which is a mystery to me. Obviously, our development is going much bigger, and we do need to be concerned about water going forward. But the water
People.
regulatory authority, I mean, they seem to come to the forum at least once a quarter
It's true.
to talk about how are we planning ahead? How are we
Mhm.
going to, how can we use gray water? How can we better run green energy? Going back to the Super Bowl, that one of the things they're touting is this is supposed to be the greenest Super Bowl
Cool.
ever.
Yeah.
Waste management is involved heavily. And that's like one of their marketing efforts, is that we're going to use less
Yeah.
water. We're going to recycle more.
Yeah. Well, and speaking to the water authority people coming and speaking at commercial forums and stuff, that's true. And some of the things they say are like things that are a surprise to us
Mhm.
that come out in like articles that day, they've known about for like 20 years.
Mm.
That's not a surprise to that. We knew that was coming. That was part of this agreement or part of this deal or part of if X happened. And so they're like, we are already 15 years beyond that. So like, it seems surprising to us and to the general public, but I don't know.
They've known about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So back to the Super Bowl again. Go Chiefs.
Boo.
Now watch. Now watch. We're gonna lose this weekend to the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did
Don't
that.
be
I'm going to
jinxing 'em.
remember. That's right.
We're not gonna edit it either. We're just gonna.
We're
Let it
just
play.
going to leave it in there.
We'll see what happens. It's their turn, right? I mean, it's just like they beat us 3 times now, so we'll see what happens this 4th time.
Okay, I'm going to
Talking about
show
fixing
my
it.
football ignorance here. But
Uh-oh.
didn't we win like a few years ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
Yeah,
super
they won.
Yeah.
ignorant.
Stop complaining.
It's not like my poor Seahawks who didn't have a win from like 1977 till just like 10 years ago. So I'm just
oh yeah.
saying-
No, I'm not complaining. We've been in
Okay.
the AFC Championship for 5 years in a row now. So
Think about
Yeah.
the Cardinals.
Well, you don't have
fans.
you don't have
Poor
to contend
Cardinal
with
fans.
Tom Brady this year.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
Tom Brady to worry about.
Yeah, but
I think you
Joe
gotta watch
Burrow
out for
has our
Joe
number.
Burrow. Yeah.
Cincinnati has our number for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, any last things you want to share before we get into the last little segment
The
here?
fun part.
The fun part.
Yeah, that's right. I know. I heard questions. I was like, I don't know what we're doing.
No, I think we covered the commercial space as much as people could tolerate.
Probably.
I hope you're still listening.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting topic, but we like it.
It is when you like money.
That's it really does make the world, or at least our state, go round. Because like I said earlier, when it comes here, then everything trickles down and we're all healthier and happier financially. I have said before, when people ask about the housing market, the only time, in my opinion, we need to be concerned and start taking a pause and look around is when you see these Fortune 500 companies or these big companies coming and they're stopping mid-construction.
Mm,
That's bad.
right.
Okay. Real bad. I lived in Seattle during the .com bust, and that's what happened. They were literally like in framework and then they became ghost towns. You don't want to see something like that. But in reality, most businesses, especially to that magnitude, have done so much research to death that if they're building it here, it's going to happen. They are going to move people here. They are going to need houses. They are going to need Targets. They are going to need restaurants, and we're just going to keep humming along.
Right. And a lot of our crazy market was because Wall Street was here buying houses, bidding
Literally.
against homeowners.
Yeah.
And the way they described it at the forum yesterday was the party got too loud and the cops came. The cops are the Fed, and the
Yes.
Fed were like, okay, we're jacking rates because you guys are out of control.
Exactly.
And now, you aren't competing with Wall Street investors to buy a single family home,
Right.
as it should be.
I agree.
It sucks that the rates are hurting home buyers, but something had to happen to make things level out because it was just not sustainable for things to
No.
keep going how they were going.
What I found so fascinating about all of that is these REITs, right? Were purchasing properties sight unseen just because they could.
Mhm.
And so while people were enjoying a robust economy, enjoying their 401k going up, it was literally their own 401k that was stealing the house that they were bidding on. You know what I mean? And it's like, to me, it just seems so wrong that the economy you're enjoying is also what's stealing from you at the same time. And I think once people realize that and just kind of take control of it, regardless of what the interest rate is, then they can go buy a home and be happy and
That's a
open
good
restaurants.
soundbite. That one right there.
What's
so
that?
what you just said.
Oh, I don't remember.
That's okay.
I mean,
It's
for
recorded.
people to be like either complaining about the housing
Right.
market or then complaining about their 401k going down,
Right.
all of these things are connected to each other.
100%.
I do have one other question.
Okay.
So, being in the commercial real estate space, I know you sell real estate, but do you both have investments in commercial real estate yourselves?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So I have residential investments,
Mhm.
short-term, long-term rentals. Our team itself, because we are a pretty intimate small team, own commercial properties together. There are opportunities to do that.
Mhm.
What boils down to, at least it was for me personally, which is why I chose residential, financing is a little bit different unless you've got some deep pockets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it. All right. Let's move on.
Got it.
God.
All right. You ready to get in the ring?
Okay.
what we call
I don't
it.
know. I'm a little nervous.
All right. Well, big shout out first to Security Title Agency and Fidelity National Home Warranty for sponsoring the show. We appreciate it. All right. Here we go. Pizza or cheeseburgers?
Pizza.
Depends on where I am.
Is she in New York?
Okay. If you're in New York,
In Arizona. In New York, pizza.
Pizza's good over there. Yeah, it's like the
Damn
crust.
right.
I don't know what they do.
It's
Is it
water.
really the water?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
What do they do to the water?
New York has
Makes it
soft water.
Crunchy.
Oh, we have
I
hard
can
water.
smell chlorine in Arizona water.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's-
It tastes awful.
It's true.
It makes a big really
Okay.
does.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I've heard that there are a couple pizzerias out here that actually get water shipped from the East
Stop
Coast.
it.
Really?
What does that
Where's
pizza
that?
cost?
Yeah,
that's funny.
not as much as eggs.
True.
No.
So
No.
Carla and I have an open house coming up when we were talking about how to drive traffic. And I was like, I will give each attendee one egg.
One egg. Not a dozen.
No,
One.
no, I don't have that kind of money
I
yet.
was like, don't sell yourself short. You're a solid 18 pack, okay?
But yeah,
That's
next
good.
Sunday, one egg
One
to everybody
egg.
who comes
Wow.
through.
That's funny.
That's funny. Joey used to say he used to teach agents to give out those small little ice cream things at open house because that way they didn't
Ice
have
cream.
to have time to go to any other ones because it would melt.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's Joey's thing.
That's a
Anyway,
strategy.
That's one way
how
to
about favorite activity outside of work?
Anything equestrian. I'm going on a long trail ride this weekend. I just love to be around horses and animals and outdoors in general.
I am a mom of 2 daughters, so that is my free time. So all the things they do in terms of karate and band and orchestra and the juggle and the balance. Other than that, I just hanging with my friends and trying to enjoy what very little downtime I have.
Are horses really like big dogs? I mean, like,
No,
no, That's
No,
what I
it's
heard.
not the
Anyway,
same.
It's not the same. Okay.
no.
No, they don't
Do you
listen.
watch Yellowstone?
Yes.
Yes.
Not religiously, but yes.
Yeah, it's a good show.
It is a good show.
How about your favorite vacation destination?
Ooh, anywhere with water and palm trees.
Yeah, I like the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And how about, let's see here, Apple or Android?
Wow.
I have an opinion on this.
Oh, say it, please.
You don't say. Carla has an opinion.
Let's
Sit
hear it.
down.
It's a New Yorker.
Touche.
Probably the most opinionated West Coast gal they've ever met. I actually prefer Android, but I carry an Apple because
Nice.
Apple as like a family integration works better. And going back to the 2 children, I need to see where those chicks are and what they're doing all the time. I didn't realize parenting was 70% checking your kid's phone. Yeah.
That's good.
I prefer Apple for a laptop, and I am an Apple phone user. And the only reason I switched over is for video tours because most people have Apple. And when you're sending videos from phone to phone, it looks like crap. Otherwise, I'd still be an Android user.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'll
there-
say it.
Wow, Joey, that's 2 people that would probably
know.
prefer Android.
Yeah, I know.
Android is a thing.
Unicorns.
Wow. All right. Last question. How about your favorite superhero?
Ooh.
Oh, this is one for the boss.
I know. So we have a team mural in our office that is us as the Avengers. It's
Yeah,
a true story. Our broker is
he's Iron Man.
Iron
of course.
Man.
That's right.
Yeah.
He told me Captain America. And when I said I wanted to be Iron Man, then he took it. And he was like, you can't be Iron Man. I was like, says who? He's in a suit. You don't know it's not a woman. So our broker's basically my male counterpart. I don't even know who my character is on there. What's her
You're
name?
Miss Marvel.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't remember why. She was the first woman that did something. And our assistant thought that was cool and then put my head on her.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really follow superheroes movies well enough. I don't know. It'd have to be something with like a flying horse or a dragon or something.
There you go.
Puff the Magic.
She
Oh, like
Right.
like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay.
See?
Yeah,
That's a thing.
Yeah.
thing.
There you go.
Well,
All right.
I do have one other question
Okay.
for this. What is the best advice that someone's ever given you? I like
Oh.
that question.
I know mine. I was in college and I was listening to a really boring lecture in business class. And I was sitting there with like my hand on my face and I was like playing with my lip or something. And the professor called me out in front of everybody. And I like sat up and he was like, you comfortable, Miss Magee? I was like, yeah. And he goes, you need to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I have applied that to everything in my life. And it has not led me wrong to this point.
That's
So,
actually really good.
mhm.
I like
Mine is when people show you who they are, believe them.
Mm.
I think I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes you have to know where to draw the line.
that. Yeah.
That's actually something in our course class. There's this 10 code of the West, like the cowboy code.
Mhm.
And they're all just like really simple principles that make a lot of practical sense. Like, always do what you say you would,
Mhm.
take courage in each day, know where to draw the line, know that some things aren't for sale. That's one that we have to keep in mind here and there.
It's true.
But yeah, that would be mine.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies, for being in here.
Thanks for
Thank you for
having
having
us.
us.
Great show.
And I think it's a great service, to be able to be that commercial arm, if you will, right, for residential agents. So I'm hoping that some of them reach out to you and get to know your program a little bit better. So
That's great. That's a really great way to put it, because we always say, like, part of the residential world is very competitive and they worry about people stealing clients and stuff. So sometimes the hesitation to talk to us is there. We don't want to take your clients. We just want to extend, be that arm, the same fantastic service that you already gave them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I like to be like friends with my referral
Right.
partners. Like, you guys want to go out and have tacos and margaritas, I'm down, because it helps to know that this is a person who has your cell phone number and somebody you actually know personally. And it's not just, that's a nice motto to stand behind, but
Right.
that's actually who you are, on and off the clock.
oh, that's great. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being in here, and we truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, agents, until next time, we will see you later. Adios.
Adios.